On this week's episode of The Unbroken, I sit down with Josh Dikis out of Birmingham, Alabama, 3.5 years sober, and we're going to talk to you about what is it like to get sober. Not so much the story leading up to it, but once you hit that sobriety date, what next? Josh, how many sobriety dates have you had?
I was thinking about that when you asked me just a minute ago. I think we're at like 9 or 10, somewhere around there.
And what would happen?
Man, you know, the reality is that I never really had a sobriety date that lasted too long. You know, I was like the 3-week, 3-month, and then one time like this fake year I made it, you know.
What do you mean a fake year? What do you mean?
Funny you asked me. So like it was like third or fourth time into treatment. So like I had these things that I'm supposed to do every day that I was doing about face, right? Like I'm going to the meetings, I'm doing the things that my sponsor was having me do, and the things that like my family was, they were holding me accountable to these things, right? So I would go and I would do that, but I picked up a year chip. I'll never forget. My dad met me at the meeting. He was excited. He's like, dude, I'm going to meet you there, give you a hug. This is really cool. We'll go get something to do something after. I was like, and he knew instantly when I started saying things like, Dad, it's not a big deal. Like, you don't have to do all that. No big deal, right? I couldn't be excited for him, for me, because I knew what was happening, right? They didn't.
What was happening?
I went back into using, you know.
And you saw that coming?
Yeah.
Like you knew it was coming?
I was already there.
Oh, you already used it?
I was using and picked up a year chip.
Okay.
I actually was at a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, and I was doing cocaine in the bathroom right before I picked the chip up.
Isn't that brutal?
It is.
That is no fun at all.
And it wasn't even, I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, this is what everybody has to do this, you know? And I went and picked that thing up. My dad called me. He was like, you want to get something to eat? I was like, nah, my ex-wife at the time was like, she needs me home. You know, and I was just suffering that whole drive home. Like, what have I just done? You know, and I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. I wanted to be doing what I thought sobriety was, but I couldn't put it together.
Right. So you went into the meeting with a little bag in your pocket and went to the bathroom. Had to get that charge going before you go pick up that year chip.
Yeah, but because you know what they ask you. Mm-hmm. How'd you do it?
How'd you do it? I just did a rail in the bathroom, man.
I mean, how did y'all do it?
Right, I haven't done it yet. How'd y'all do it?
But let me answer that question for you.
Right.
You know, for 3 months I was thinking that it's pretty cool. But then everything I think I was even doing the stuff, but like I had stopped doing stuff with intention. And what I thought sobriety was you're not using. You know, so I was like, well, I'm sober. I'm doing I'm doing this thing, you know?
Right. Counting that date.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I've been sober since this date.
Clicking them coins in my pocket everywhere I went. You know, and what I honestly, I think, and what I know now is it's hard to speak on what was going through my mind because those two can kind of merge together. But the truth is I just wanted to make people happy in my family. You know, I think that's what I attached for that instance that we're talking about. I think that's what I attached sobriety to, was people being happy, not angry with me. You know, whether they were questioning me or not, I kind of figured that was going to always be the case. I didn't ever think there would be a point when trust came back, but I just thought I saw these people in my family, in my life, that were like okay with Josh for the first time in a long time.
Did you feel like you were responsible to some degree for their happiness in the family?
Yeah.
And that you gauged, no matter if you were unraveling inside, if the family wasn't down your neck or fearful or freaking out, then you must be sobriety.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think I definitely was responsible. My mindset was I was responsible for their happiness in the family dynamic. Because let's be real, like, we're looking at a piece where my family is separating, and I'm talking about like my mom and dad and my brother, all individualized, separating from themselves because they're trying to figure out up until this point, like, what do we do with Josh? You know, my brother had his opinion, my mom had hers, my dad had his, and then they're being told by tons of different sources and all these little pieces up to the puzzle, right? So I saw that, but then what I saw was like they're beginning to come back to be one together. And I didn't really care to be a part of, honestly, because like putting together the piece that I was a part of the family and being responsible weighed too heavy on me. So I just kind of avoided focusing on that, and I avoided the reality, what was coming to fruition those 3 months where I was just in that misery. And what I latched onto, my delusional mindset and that manipulation that I began, I actually started to believe my own manipulation of like, this is going to be okay because they're happy, you know? That was tough.
Yeah.
You know, you got to walk around knowing what you're doing. And I just remember thinking like, I'll stop this. I can control. I'll get on the other end of this.
Because you wanted to be sober.
Yeah.
I mean, you wanted to be sober long before you were sober. How many years? I mean, you're a young man. What are you, 37? 36 right now?
Yeah.
And you've been sober 3.5 years.
Uh-huh.
And so you're talking about 30, 33.
Mm-hmm.
How long had you wanted to be sober before you got sober?
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget. I think it was, I don't know the exact year, but around 2017-ish. 2017, 2018, first treatment I ever went into. This show, to answer your question, it's very easy. I went to my family, and I had this, finances were coming to an end. Wife was questioning me. I hated that I was isolating so far. My dad would call me and ask me to play golf, and I'd be all excited. And then what would usually happen is I would either no-show my own father, or I would call him like the day after and be like, hey, Dad, I can't make it to golf, you know? And he's like, yeah, I know. That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
You know, but in my mind, I was like, okay, at least I told him I can't make it, you know? But so I had my wife at the time and my parents, and I said, hey, I need y'all to meet at the house, you know?
You were carrying around a lot.
Heavy, suffering, didn't want to, causing so much destruction in my relationship with my wife. I can't really say there was as much destruction with my parents at the time because they were kind of so far removed. They didn't have to deal with the day-to-day. You know, I was that type of guy that would tell my ex-wife, hey, I'm going to go hit golf balls on the driving range that's 3 minutes down the road at 3 p.m. and at 2 a.m. walk in the house and she's upset. Might not be 2 a.m., just hours and hours gone by. She texts and say, hey, pick up dinner. And I show up with dinner. I'm like, what are you mad at? I got dinner, you know?
Hours later.
I got dinner, cold as could be.
What's your problem?
Yeah, like, hey, you
Dinner's
told me to
cold,
do something.
like it's been in the refrigerator for 2 days.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, like, what's wrong with you? So my parents didn't have to experience that, but they could see. My dad and I had a great relationship growing up, very close-knit, did athletics together. He was my coach and stuff. My mom, we were very close in the sense of, not the depths that we are now. You know, I attached strongly to my dad, but we were close. She knew when things weren't right. My dad was able to pick it up pretty quickly, and he was asking those questions of like, are you okay? If something's wrong, would you tell me? And I'm about face. Like, dude, I love you, man. Had a bad couple days. Yeah. Josh, you had a bad couple days every single day over the past year. Like, why won't you tell? I'm like, Dad, I'm fine. You know, I'm just coming into my own manhood. That's what I kept telling him. But yeah, so I brought my family together and I laid it out, man. I said,
You just laid it all out.
I just like dumped the truth. Felt so good, but still, I just told him, I said, I have this really bad opiate problem. You know, we can track back onto what that looked like, but there's no need as you described, because the reality of the situation is I wanted to be sober. You know, I don't know if it was sober. I wanted to not be dependent physically on a substance. I wanted to smile again. I wanted to be the man that my wife thought she married or believed she married. I wanted to be the son that could be dependable. You know, I think there was times where at that point, my brother was living in Chattanooga, and when my dad would need something around the house, he's going to call my brother that's 2.5 hours away to come help him, and Josh 30 minutes away.
Because you can't count on him.
Can't count on him. Need this done. You know, so I told him all the truth, straight up. I'll never forget. My dad said, all right, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know what to do.
Leaving it up to you.
Yeah, like that's why I'm telling y'all,
right.
You know. Well, you can't ask me that. I don't know what to do. he got in touch with some family friends, and we got into my first treatment. I'll never forget, man. This was the hardest thing to do. Easy to do at the time, but hard. I had to tell him, I said, hey, you need to pull the car over. You said you're going to help us and you're going to take care of treatment. I just need you to know that $24,000 y'all had in your safe, it ain't there, buddy. I don't know how you ain't looked in there, but it ain't there. So if that's what you were using, you might do a U-turn.
What did he say?
My dad's a big man, and at this point, he's a lot scarier than he is now, where I'm bigger now, so I'm not as scared, but slick back hair staring at me. I thought he was coming across the truck. He looked back at me.
I bet he wanted to for a minute. I bet there was a brief moment where he wanted to.
If I paid attention to the grip of the steering wheel, he probably about broke the steering wheel,
right.
You know? He looked at me and said, oh, you're going to take care of that $24,000. We're going to figure that out. But you better be glad we'll figure this out. We'll get you there.
But you're going to take care of it.
But you're going to take care of it. And I was just like, what kind of person can do that? Like, I could not. If this time, the way I was living with resentment so strong in my life, hating everybody, if they looked at me the wrong way, playing the victim, whatever you want to call it, if my son did that to me or someone told me some truth like that, just get out the truck. So it was weird to me that there was love there after that and after the other stuff that I'd done to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So of course I wanted to get sober.
I mean, man, it sounded like to me like honesty's a big deal with people like us.
Yeah.
You know, before we sober, like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Honest with others, honest with ourselves. Most importantly, honest with ourselves, because we can't be honest with someone else if we're not honest with ourselves. Sound like to me you had so much shame, so much guilt just piled onto you, which shows me that there's an amazing soul in there that is screaming, that wants to be well, and you come out with the honesty because you got that shame's just spilling over.
Yeah.
And you were expecting your father to pull the truck over and kick you out because really that's what you felt like you deserved, right?
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Like the things that I've put them through, you know, the idea that I'm telling the truth. I didn't know if my wife at the time was going to leave or go or stay. You know, what I can say is I would imagine there was a sense of peace that finally she was able to, it makes sense now. All this stuff, he's been lying to me straight up. And you can probably agree or disagree, but like, don't you think we all suffer at some point in the midst of the deepest and darkest part of our addiction that like, that's the draining piece. And guess what? Now we're having to use to push that stuff down, not including the stuff we're already suffering from internally. And now we're having to push that down. And what are we going to do with it? And then our using increases and it just gets to a point where you either throw your hands up or you know, for me, I couldn't add. My financially was capped.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I always tell people I didn't pawn stuff. It's because it's too much work. I'm just going to go straight to the source. I'm going to steal what I need, and that's usually the cash or the money. I got to the point I learned I could overdraft $750 by going to specific ATMs that would still give me money at a zero balance. And then my wife, why are we negative?
Yeah,
we're negative
so much.
Yeah. So we shouldn't be. We had a very comfortable lifestyle. Should not be in that way.
Yeah. You went to treatment, wanting to be sober,
Yeah.
full of guilt, full of shame, all the stuff. Got you a sober date.
Yeah.
Right.
Big time. I'm doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you think because you put the stuff down, you get detox. Because, man, that's what I thought. I thought that all that stuff was my problem.
Yeah.
But if you just get me physically non-dependent on that, right, and you get that cleared out of my system, I'm going to hit the ground running with work and you know, being a dad and, you know, hanging out with my old friends, not the using friends, but my old friends, you know, re-engaging with people in the community that were respectful and are respectable. And, you know, I was going to do all of this. And that was sober to me. You know, like, what did that, but to me, that didn't, I thought that that's what sobriety
it didn't happen,
was.
Did it?
No, it didn't. No. It didn't.
No.
And just like you said, like you wanted to not be physically dependent on opiates, but did you really want to be sober?
See,
that's me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be dependent on opiates. I didn't want to have to go to the crack dealer every day and buying rock cocaine. but that I really want to be sober. I couldn't wrap my head around that full sobriety, so I had reservations. I wanted to use without consequences.
Yeah.
I wanted to control and enjoy it.
Yep.
But to be sober, if you'd have asked me then, I would have said, yeah, I want to be sober. But my definition looked a lot different than it does today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I will never forget when they told me you can't smoke weed at that treatment facility I went to. I was like, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I dang sure didn't expect them to tell me that. I really was so green. Never looked into treatment, never tried treatment, never wanted it, and didn't think about it, didn't think I needed it. Just thought, like you said, I just got to go get separated. That's what treatment is.
So all of the groups, if they're in there talking about King Baby, the small groups, the big groups, all the stuff that they're doing, they're talking about. A lot of it's filler time, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't really need that. I just need to get physically. I was just physically like this. This may be helpful for, the guy that was lying on the floor trying to bite his own ear through detox. He may need that. He may need these groups, but I'm too masculine for this. I'm too smart for this.
Too successful. I have a job.
Right.
Some of these people coming in, or what my idea of the addict is, you got to be living under a bridge. And I told them that. I said, this ain't for me. I got a house, I got cars, I got a wife, I got a family. They're still in my life. Like, I ain't got a problem. I got a problem because I'm physically dependent on this substance, and I don't want to be. Right? You come in here and you tell me you can't drink and you can't smoke weed. Well, those weren't the problem. Do y'all not hear what I'm telling you? Needed them to hear me. And oh boy, they heard me.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a single thing they said, but I didn't need to, because like you said, I thought sobriety came when the substance is out of my body and my mind is not just racing when the next use is, right?
And you get a lot of calls from families and from people, from the addicted people themselves that are looking for some help. I get calls from families all the time. I get questions all the time. You see it all over social media. Hey, you know a place that deals with cocaine addiction? Do you know a place that deals with meth addiction? Do you know a place that, man, you'll even look on Google and there'll be treatment centers that list all that we do. We have a meth addiction track. We have a opiate addiction track. We have a, cocaine alcohol addiction track, right? So it's obvious that most of the population, and I understand why, but most of the population seems to think that the substances are the problem. So I bebop into a program, you bebop into a program, get these substances out of my life because they're a problem.
That's it. Yeah.
And then you come out, and what happens?
And
you're thinking you're sober, like I'm sober.
Well, I love it because you mentioned something, because I was literally thinking about this on the way over here. The idea of getting back into a relationship with some of these old friends, some of these good guys, some guys that did no wrong to me, and I did no real wrong to them other than I just isolated so much, and that can be a whole nother spiel, but like I didn't isolate on purpose. But let's talk a little bit about like what we're carrying with us. I was embarrassed of what I was doing. I didn't want to have to continue to lie to people. So to avoid lying to people, what do? You don't get around them.
Yeah, isolate.
So I was so excited, man. I have a good group of core guys, right? Very supportive. I got out of there, and it's time to be friends and live this fun, cool life, right? I don't know. I don't think I really picked up the phone with any of them. I kind of thought that like that just happens. Like there was no action I needed to take, that somehow through the grapevine they heard Josh went and got help, and let's call and check on him.
Yeah.
And I thought I had this idea that like we're going to be out playing golf with people. My dad would invite me to play more golf again, and I'd be out there, and boy, it wasn't that way, because you had just removed the substance like we're talking about.
You're still having the shame from, I don't know about you, but even the first time I used, I had a great time. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. But when I got around my family, I was in a little bit of shame, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
And also Dare told me, Dare to keep your kids off drugs.
Man, yes.
The drugs are bad and people are bad, and if you do them, you're bad.
Yeah.
So even at the very, that my first, my debut into active use, I felt a little bit of shame, and then it just piled on after that. So after you get your sober date, I've been sober.
Yeah.
That's my date. I got
That's
30
it.
days. There's my chip.
Oh,
you
yeah.
still can't around that shame. compounded.
That's right. And
Guilt.
you're not telling anybody.
Nah.
I'm not telling anybody I went to treatment.
Because I'm just physically dependent.
Yeah.
I just had a little bump in the road.
That's not me. That's not me. I'm not a drug addict. I am a successful outside sales rep that's going to have the most amazing future ahead of me when I get out of treatment. I don't even know if I don't think I really had a plan that I knew I was going to go drink and smoke weed, but like I had no a part of my being believed that I couldn't. Not at all. Didn't drink much anyways, messed up the opiate high. Smoked weed every single day of my life since I was like 14, 15 years old. That was never a problem. I went to high school. I'd go high. I made sales calls. I was high. I go and do everything that a man is supposed to do in life, and I was smoking weed. I don't know what y'all are talking about. At that age, I think I was like 26, something like that. Everybody, most of my friends were still kind of partaking in it. Now, they were probably the evening users, where I was a wake-up user on the way to a sales call, in between sales call, on the way home, right after dinner. But nevertheless, it wasn't a problem. So what we're like, when we think about the idea of like what was sobriety like, I was in sobriety. I was supposed to be happy. I was supposed to be friendly, fun-loving. I'd have energy again. I don't think none of that really happened. I think when I got out of there, I was happy and things were cool for 3 days. And I still didn't realize when I went back out, when I started using again, I did not go to opiates. I decided cocaine was never a real big issue.
Yeah.
So let me just do this. Actually, I think I started with Adderall. I hated Adderall, but I need some energy to do my job. I don't need to go get a prescription because that's going to take a lot of time, and I don't have that time, but I know where to get it, and it's pretty cheap, and it's nowhere near expensive as the pills I was just buying. $30 a pound, when it's like $10 a pill. I don't even like them, so I'll take a quarter and I'll be okay. And here's the best question to ask myself. Was I actually working when I was taking the Adderall? Nope. My car was organized. My work desk was organized. I had every pen that I could possibly need. I had every cool notebook to take the notes when I would make the sales calls.
You were ready.
I couldn't make a sales call.
You were ready.
Yeah.
You were ready to make the call.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been any more prepared to make the
That's
call.
right.
You just couldn't make the call.
Couldn't do it.
Right. What would you call it? You would call that a relapse.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? You
Yeah.
went to treatment. You came out. You had some days where nothing happened. Call it sobriety. You think that's what sobriety is, when really you just got a little grace period there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you pick up again. So, oh my God, that's a relapse.
Yeah.
And see, I just want to get into this a
Yeah.
little bit, is because it's why I'm talking today, and why we're talking today about it's not just about a sober date.
No.
People say, hey, they leave detox and pick right up and they call it a relapse. They go to 30 days of treatment and come right out, they call it a relapse.
Yeah.
Or 60 days or 90 days. Or they white knuckle it and sit on their hands for 6 months in an AA meeting or any 12-step meeting and don't hit a lick and don't do anything. And they call it a relapse when they pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to relapse, I have to have been emotionally well to relapse back in illness and stinking thinking and and then pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All we're doing is just returning to use. So when we're throwing out the word relapse, we're letting people think that that's what sobriety feels like, is that misery you were in for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly you weren't dope sick. You didn't have the Jimmy legs, and you weren't having the sweats.
Mm-mm.
So certainly it felt better for 3 days.
That's right.
But internally, we're a mess.
Man, to relapse, like, don't you have to have some sense of, let's just put it all together and say the word, some sense of freedom? Some part of happiness, and not to be confused with moments that make you happy. Because I had a couple of those for those 3 days. Every once in a while, my wife would say something like, "It's so nice to have my husband back." I'm happy at that moment. 3 seconds later, I'm suffering again. So like, you have to have some sense of freedom and some sense of happiness to really be considered a relapse. Because what you did is you just removed a substance.
Right. So how many times did that repeat itself?
So let's see. I really think that, like, counting now, I didn't go to treatment like every single time I relapsed. So you're talking like going or return to use. Like I mean, you're talking like 8, 9, 10 times, you know, or
And
more.
wanting to be sober the whole time.
Yeah.
The first time you weren't intervened on. You
No.
went to the family and said, "Hey, I got a massive problem
Yeah.
here." That's hats off to you for that, because I got to flip it at. My dad called me and said, "Hey, what we gonna do about this pill problem?"
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed and so full, and also my ego would crop up and think that I could get it under control before anyone found out.
Yeah.
But for you to go to the family and say, "Hey, there's a serious issue here,
Yeah.
opiate wise. I want to get some help,"
And
brave.
and that's the reality was, it was like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just knew. And part of me was kind of pushed that way to say, they're asking these questions. They're about to figure it out. I need to be in control of this outcome. You know, big piece of my puzzle. And every other time that I went out, it was never me going to get help. Never me going to get help. I know the second time, crazy story, and I'll be very quick. We had a safe, my ex-wife and I, we put some money stashed away just to have cash on hand. You know, my dad we prepare for everything. So he's always told me, have some cash. You never know what's going to happen to the banks, to the finance. So I had about $5,000. We needed to buy like a new couch or something. She was like, we'll just use this. We can use the cash. That'd be cool. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm thinking, I threw that key so far into the woods, there was not a single lick of money in there. She went along the way. She was like, where is the key? I was, here we go, the manipulation. I don't know. Why would I know why would you tell me, Josh, the drug addict, where the key is? You know what I do with money. Like, you put it somewhere. I know you must have hid it from yourself. Long story short, she orders a key. I didn't know you could order a key for those safes. Okay, I did not know it. She orders it. It gets delivered to the house. I think she got there when she wasn't there one day. I was outside sales working from the house. I got it. I bent the key, so it couldn't go in there. I think she ordered another key.
Just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, she ordered that other key, got sent to her office, brings it home, opens the box. She's like, where's the money? There's no money there. I'm not going to admit to it. Of course, it went to treatment again.
Yeah.
But that's the way that it went. And every other time after that, I get caught. And, you know, not really caught in a lie. They always would catch me with there's no question, we know you're doing this. Right. They wouldn't pin me in a corner with assumption. And I think that goes back to some let's talk about the fear and the family, and like they were in fear. They didn't want it to happen either. They were ashamed that this is happening again, I would imagine, with assumption. But when they got that exact answer, we took action, you know.
So you took action, you went to a different program. I want to kind of get on into the solution and close, because we're at 34 minutes. We got an hour left, little less than an hour left, but just want to kind of get it. I don't want to spend too much time. I had to cut some of that out. I think I kept this in there a little too long.
That's okay.
But so the final time, you know, what you thought was sobriety and what sobriety actually is two totally different things.
Absolutely.
And how did you get there? How did you come to that realization? And what did the process look like? Where'd you go? What happened?
Yeah. So I do want to touch on this. This last time, I didn't think there was a solution. I gave up. I don't know if I gave up or I just didn't believe it existed. I thought that I worked a 12-step program. I thought that I did all these other things. I saw a therapist. My dad and I made these contracts. I even told you, me and my dad thought we were going to beat this thing together, and me and him were going to write a book on how to do it father and son style. And then I had just basically almost got to the point where I was content with being a drug addict my whole life. Going to let my wife raise my son. My family's just going to be okay without me. And
defeated.
Yeah, just done. Didn't think it. So then I had an intervention done on me. You know, biggest blessing in my life to this day. They intervened on me. I was living in my folks' house after my ex-wife and I got divorced, and they intervened on me. And they said, we're going to send you to your last and final option for us to support you at. Or you can get out the house. You give you 15 minutes to get everything you have. I said, I need 4 hours, you know, but I called some people, called my now wife, and she said, yeah, you should go. I was dumbfounded that she thought I should go, but I went. Okay. I did not want a solution. I did not want to do the work. I had no intention. I was a very big degenerate. When we look at how someone acts in treatment, I was that guy. I saw these people at Impact Recovery Center where I went, and I saw these guys doing something different. Their example they set, this real sense of like freedom that they spoke about, I could see them experiencing it. They were belly laughing, okay? And I was in the office this one time, and I said, okay, gig's up. Y'all smoke weed, right? Because nobody laughs like that. And they just looked at me like, that's your problem, Josh. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. We're going to go in here and we're going to solve this internal condition. We're going to solve this fear. We're going to look at this insecurities. That's really what drove me. You know, I had a lot of things to be proud of. I had a great athletic career, but I suffered so much internally. We're going to look at that.
And you were raised right too.
Yeah.
You were raised with principles.
That's right. I had morals. And I lived by them for a little bit. Very little bit, and then I didn't, right?
And they were going to get you reconnected with that.
That's what they said. I didn't even have any sense of belief that it would work. I had this incident happen up there where I had to call my dad and get honest with something, and he told me, I'll never forget. It's the second time in my life he's ever told me. He said, "You're a disappointment. I'm disappointed in you." That hit hard. That's my guy. You know, him and my brother, man. They could say things that actually got to me, even in active addiction, that it would affect me. And he told me that, and I was just like, no way. So you know what I said? I said, that goes exactly to what these guys have been telling me. They're telling me this truth in a loving way. They're being brutally honest with me, and they have been this whole time. And here's an example of that, because I'm doing Josh stuff, and I'm disappointing everybody around me, even in the sense of treatment. They're supposed to be happy I'm in treatment.
Yeah. You had to be spoon-fed some truth about yourself.
Absolutely.
How comfortable was that?
It was very uncomfortable.
Oh, God.
And they kept saying, you got to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. And I didn't think that I was ever going to be comfortable again after I started to embark on this process.
Yeah.
And then they start talking about a spiritual power. Never made sense to me. Not that I disagreed. I wasn't angry at God. I wasn't angry at the idea of a powerful, position in a relationship with God. It just never made sense. I was probably in a conceited, arrogant lifestyle because I was a top performing athlete. I got to that point. Where was God? Not that I was mad. How do you do this? And they showed me. They not only did they talk me through it, not only did they answer, and here's what I started doing, and I didn't realize it. When they would point something out to me, like a character defect or a manipulation tactic, because I would go in there and I'd have to pay child support, and I'd go in and I'd go on this 10-minute spill of why I needed my phone. And they're like, why did you say all that? Why would you not just say I need my phone to pay child support? So I didn't even realize when I was trying to manipulate to get what I wanted. And in a setting I didn't need to. So I started asking, well, how else do you do it? What else am I supposed to do? I got to the point where I was so broken while I was in Impact, I just said, I give up, but I still don't understand what y'all are asking me to do. Can y'all help me?
You remember that day, don't you?
Absolutely.
Man, me too. I don't remember the last time I got high.
Mm-mm.
Do you remember the last time you got high?
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, you may, but a lot of people do. But
I don't.
But I don't. I don't. It was no big thing. It was just another day.
Yeah.
It really was just another day of misery, right?
Yeah.
And I did. But I never will forget, nor do I wish to forget that moment of surrender. It was a lot of pain, and it was 2 months without anything in my system when I had it.
But wasn't it easy just to,
When you gave up, yeah.
It was finally just, so people always say it's so hard. Getting well isn't, and doing the work isn't the hard. What's the hard part is getting to the point to just say, okay,
yeah,
let's do it. You
can breathe at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget it.
It got so much easier.
Yeah.
Like when I just hit that moment of like, I'm done. It's like, I'm done.
Yeah. And let me ask this. What about when the idea is like, my loved one that's trying to go to treatment hasn't surrendered yet? Oh, okay.
Right,
Wouldn't it be weird to you? It's weird to me when someone comes in just completely fully surrendered. It happens, and so I've seen people do well in that state, and I've seen some not. But I just get them there. Got to get them out of what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I don't need a guy that I'm trying to get in to just say I'm ready to go. Coolest thing though, when I finally surrendered, in about 2 days, I did something I never done, and it was easy because I had given up. I wasn't in my own way. I trusted this guy named Jacob, who was my mentor. I trusted him very easily. He positioned himself to do that because he was living a free and happy life. He was considerate of others. So he's telling me these hard truths in a very loving and considerate way. And guess what? It worked because I was honest with him, and I told him my deepest, darkest secrets, even before the 5th step.
And he
you know?
didn't flee.
No, he said, dude, yeah, like in a sense, like, okay, yeah, I did that. Might look a little different. That's no different than my experience that I did this way, right? So what I had while I was at Impact, I was beginning to sense freedom. Okay, happiness was tricky in the treatment setting, being away from family, being away from loved ones, not getting to see my son. The happiness was coming. I could feel it, but I was experiencing some freedom. I wasn't suffering. There was a stage there that I began to be okay, and I could sit and I could watch TV and not have to rewind every 10 minutes because I'm so into my head, right? So in fear about this or that, or what did I do today? You know, the struggles of the lies that I told. Most people, families think that like it doesn't bother us. It definitely bothers. It bothered me. So I'm thinking about that, and I can't do anything without having to go back. And I don't have a memory of a holiday. Okay, my first holiday, this is when I knew I was free. And this is when I experienced real happiness in an overwhelming way. I experienced happiness when I got out with my loved ones, my family, conversations, way I was living. But overwhelming sense of happiness and true freedom. Went to a Thanksgiving, and I'm Greek. We got this big Greek family. We're in a barn setting because we're so big. I was present. I was there. I was laughing with family.
Yeah.
I left, and guess what? When I left, I remembered. Fast forward to the next year, I told my dad, dude, I'm pumped to go to Thanksgiving. He was like, yeah, I mean, me too. But I said, because I remember last year.
The holidays come all over social media. All the treatment centers with their sterile posts are like 10 ways to stay sober through the holidays, or, you know, it can be very difficult to stay sober through the holidays. And my message is show up, cook the turkey, take out the trash, make a casserole. Don't know how to make a casserole? YouTube it, figure it out. Get out of yourself, show up for the family. Your holiday will be just fine.
And if you're living what sobriety is supposed to be, and that freedom and that happiness, and not struggling internally, you can.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's
if you're
enjoyable.
just like we're talking about, you're sitting there white knuckling it.
Yeah.
Like
calling
even
that sobriety.
Yeah. Even if you want to make that casserole or to go and be a part of with every like cellular makeup of your body, you want to do that. I never could.
I couldn't either.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't either.
Go and get
fold
sober.
like a wet blanket, man.
Find real sobriety, and I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm with my family, you know, and it's an amazing thing. And to this day, there's a few things that this program requires of us, right? A few things. We did it. We did it last night when we were together. Did it this morning. I do these few things all the time. Someone asked me, my dad asked me one time, do you fear relapse? I said, no, Dad, I don't fear relapse. I fear what my life would look like if I didn't do these things. I fear getting back into that internal condition running my life.
Yeah. I fear of what I'm gonna miss out on, or the opportunities that I miss by not squeezing every drop. And look, man, mind you, I don't squeeze every drop out of life. I fall short every day.
Yeah.
I fall short every day. But yeah, I don't fear like honestly, and this is not being arrogant or too cocky, but honest to God, I cannot see a day coming in front of my life where I'm going to make a decision to smoke crack cocaine. My life's too full.
Yeah.
I've got too much stuff to do.
Yeah.
I'm too busy, man. I got life's full.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, and now look, shifting gears a little bit. Mm-hmm. We're not here to say, and I don't think you're here to say, it's not always easy. Life is life. Normal people struggle.
Yeah.
Normal people get resentful. Normal people have flare-ups in traffic. Normal people, well, most normal people, I think, have some flare-ups in traffic.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's trying times, and we've always got to grow, and growth happens through some struggle and some pain. So it's not like I never want to come out to families or to the audience, to anyone, and think like, it's sober, it's great, and it's going to be great. Like, it's challenging.
Yeah. Because
but life is challenging.
Look at that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Josh, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. You know, a lot of people think that sober day, hit that sober day. Oh, I'm sober, been sober. Like, put it down, and that's it. There's work to do.
Absolutely.
You got to peel back that onion.
If it was that easy,
everybody do it.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be see these people going back in and out of treatment settings.
Well, that wraps up this episode of The Unbroken. Josh, thanks for coming in, bud. I really appreciate it. And this episode is brought to you by Impact Recovery Center out of Birmingham, Alabama. It is a 14-bed, men-only, truly individualized recovery center for men. Their clinicians take the family through the 12-step process while their loved one, while a patient at Impact Recovery, go through the 12-step process as well. Their contact info and link will be in the description, and we're going to see you next time. Be good to yourself. We're out.